been a late night player. I've been broke, it's a joke. I've been a money maker. I've been a record breaker, taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky, shaky thing. Popping, locking, stopping, let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip hop, it's like it stings. We make the whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk. We gotta have that funk. We kick it old school. We think we're so cool. We take it back to the past. We gonna act a fool. Up jumps the middle finger.
Hello, welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fanatical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio. Comcast Cable Channel 20D, Channel 23. Easy for you to say. Downtown Danbury, Connecticut. On this almost the last day of February. Yeah. March can't get here soon enough. Unfortunately, the cold temperatures have returned.
It was like 9 degrees this morning.
2 degrees in Bethel, Connecticut this morning. On this 2/27/14. Of course, we're here from 6 to 6:30. The show re-airs Fridays at 1 o'clock. And other times, sporadically, when Dave King feels like filling time, which is good with us.
Yep.
And this is episode 125, a little bit of a benchmark, which is good. And there is one Dave King at the chilly winter warm-up with our very own Bob Roth Jr.
Yeah, it was my singing debut.
Your singing debut. Dave got you to sing. Did it clear the arena?
Yeah.
Could have heard a pin drop. What? And you were singing
the Westerners theme song.
The Westerners theme song. Yes. Very nice.
Actually, you could see all the Chili Fest this next week on my show.
Spotlight On airs Tuesday nights at 9, Wednesdays at noon. Of course, Mike Toohey is in the control room running things. His show, Expose Cinema, Friday nights at 9. Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. We are joined finally, Peter Green, Strange, a.k.a. Strange Man, although he does not have a Strange Man stat of the week for us. He's got 30 minutes to come up with one. We'll see if he does. He's here helping out. The phone number is 203-792-4101, and let's do a quick plug. The Oscar preview show, Friday night, 8:30 timeout with Kevin Gallagher. I made my annual appearance with him. We taped it this past weekend, and it will be airing this Friday night.
How about a little hint?
12 Years a Slave, I think, is the big winner overall. As we went through the categories, though, it was much more up in the air than I thought. There was not, I don't know that there's really going to be.
How many snubs did you find?
A lot. I mean, the whole entire acting category could have been the 5 actors who were nominated for the lead actor could have been replaced by 5 other actors. There was at least 3 or 4 Best Picture snubs, probably more than that. There was not as many on the women's categories, but there's definitely a couple ladies left off the supporting and the Best Lead Actress. So definitely plenty of snubs. It was a pretty deep year for the Oscars. Film-wise, a lot of competition. I don't know that it was an overall great year for films, but it was a pretty deep, competitive year at least, which led to some big snubs. Tom Hanks, Robert Redford. What do these guys got to do to get nominated, Bob? I mean, they're legends in the industry. They can't get nominated? Come on.
Hey, Robert Redford's going to be in a movie coming up next month.
Yeah, that's right. I saw he was going to be in another one. He had a big film last year. I mean, just think about this. Jonah Hill has more actor nominations than Robert Redford does in history.
Yeah.
Robert Redford's an icon. Yeah. So if you want to hear more about that sort of thing, tune in Friday night, 8:30 timeout with Kevin Gallagher. Him and I were talking it up. All right, let's put a bow on the Olympics, Bob. What do you say we do that? Wrap that up?
I really didn't get a chance to watch much of the Olympics, unfortunately.
I was in and out. I did a pretty good job watching. Of course, the last few days of the Olympics was a big figure skating, made-up controversy, if you ask me, with the females. The Russian girl won the event. The 17-year-old, not the 15-year-old, everybody thought was going to take the world by storm. Unfortunately, she fell in both her runs. So the 17-year-old Russian girl, who was tremendous. I mean, she was great. She was certainly deserving of the gold medal, and she won. The defending champion from South Korea also was tremendous. Her style was much more artistic, and the Russian girl did a much more technically difficult run, so that's where the controversy lies. And there, right there. How about this, Bob? First ever medal by an Italian. Viva la Italia. My
Really?
Italians came through. What a tremendous performance by the girl from Italy coming through for the bronze.
Wow.
That's the only thing I was happy about. They could duke it out for the silver and gold, but first ever for an Italian girl, that was tremendous. So they tried to make a big controversy out of this. I thought it was made up. They just tried to get some attention to the Olympics. I felt like the Russian girl certainly was deserving. She engaged the crowd. She was emotional. She did tremendous, technically difficult things. So, you know, I thought there was really no problem with that. Overall, Russia did take home 33 medals. USA and Norway tied for second with 28 overall. USA only 9 golds, Bob. Thank God for those X Games, huh?
Yeah.
Those X Game events that they get to put in there to pad their medal count, or else it could have been a devastating year. Speaking of devastating, Bob, how about the hockey meltdown? What happened here? Unbelievable. The build up to the silver or the second round, the semifinal game between USA and Canada, fresh on the heels of the women blowing that game against the Canadians in the gold medal game, up 2-0 in that game, and they blew it in the final 4 minutes and then overtime. The men come back the next day, they get shut out 1-0, Bob.
Right.
The Canadians completely kept them in check. They had no chance, no offense, lackluster performance, and then to back that up, going for the bronze medal game against Finland, 5-0, Bob.
Yep.
Ouch. Shut out. They obviously did not recover from the 1-0 disappointing loss to Canada, as Finland was playing much more for pride with that bronze medal game, and they took it to them. Canadians, or the Finns taking down USA. So not a great end, and there's Tuukka Rask in net against the USA team, the Bruins goalie. So not a good end for the Olympics there with the hockey, which was, you know, the most entertaining thing of the Olympics. The big, you know, USA-Russia game was the highlight, I guess. So now hockey is back in action, NHL-wise. I was, you know, caught off guard last night. Bruins in action against the Sabres last night, and maybe they shouldn't have been, Bob. Down 3-1.
Yeah.
And they rally, take a 4-3 lead, and much like the women in the USA versus Canada,
They blow it.
they blow the lead in the final minute, go to overtime, and less than a minute into overtime, the Sabres win it.
Yeah.
So 5-4 loss to come back. But the Bruins overall, 79 points, first place in their half of the division there. Penguins only 4 points ahead of them at 83 points. Tampa and Montreal, 71 points tied. Toronto, 70 points. And then your Rangers in 6th place. I was surprised checking up on the standings. I thought they had been playing better.
They were up like 4th place or
Right.
And
So they, I guess, stumbled in the last days before the Olympic break. They're down to 6th place. And there was bad news for the Islanders, who are out of the mix. This could be the last time we talk about the Islanders all year, Bob. Jonathan Tavares was that hockey player we were trying to figure out who got hurt in the Olympics last week. It was Tavares, the star of the Islanders. He's out for the rest of the regular season. He got injured in the Olympics. That's a tough break. And they are at 52 points. The 8th seed right now is at 66, so 14 points out with about 30 games to go. The Islanders, they did not do well building off that great playoff run they had, you know, getting into the playoffs last year. They took the Penguins to 6 games. Very exciting. We thought the Islanders were going to do well this year, and they're not.
What about
Big letdown.
What about the Devils?
Devils are in 12th, actually 11th place with 61 points, so they're 15 points out.
Yeah.
Can you say Jaromir Jagr? Who's he going to get traded to, Bob?
Maybe he's going to
Go back to Boston.
And
I would welcome that back. Trade deadline is next week. I heard an interesting rumor, speaking of trade deadline, Marty St. Louis wants to come to New York, Bob.
Really?
The Tampa Bay Mighty Ning. Why would that happen? Tampa Bay's having a good season.
Yeah.
Why would they be trading him? So that was an interesting out-of-nowhere rumor. I think maybe that was much to do about nothing, but it was in the paper. So, hey, they wouldn't print it if they wasn't true, right, Bob?
That's true.
So that's going on. Trade deadline next week. Out west, for those who care, Anaheim, 87. Top team in all of hockey right now. St. Louis, Chicago right behind them, 84. San Jose, 80. The Avs still playing away, 79 points. The Kings back in the playoff picture with Jonathan Quick, the Connecticut native, 70. Minnesota, Vancouver, your former Ranger coach, in 8th place right now. Let's do racing real quick, Bob. You mentioned it at the end of the show last week. I did not, however, see any of the Daytona 500 this year, I missed a good one.
I caught the last,
Well, there was a 6-hour rain delay.
Yeah, so
I was out during the day. I got home in the evening, didn't think to look because I figured it was over. Lo and behold, I check in the morning. Who won the Daytona 500? Nobody but Dale Jr. He breaks his 2-year drought, 55-race drought.
Yep.
It's been 10 years since he had won the Daytona 500. He had finished second, even through his drought of not winning in recent years. He was second 3 out of the last 4 500s, and he is back in the winner's circle in the year that they brought the number 3 car back into the mix. So that was huge, Bob. Unbelievable. He's only had 2 victories total since 2006. If you remember, in his first 5 seasons before 2006, he had been in the winner's circle 15 times. But it has been a long time coming for Dale Jr. and all his fans. And I'm sure the diehards were there tuning in. The casual race fan missed it, however, as it ended very late in the evening on Sunday night with that 6-hour rain delay. So you got to watch the end. How excited were you, Bob?
Oh, it was excitement, especially with the 3 big wrecks.
You had some wrecks down the stretch. The number 3 car was in the mix on those, right? He caused 2 of them? So that was a big deal. But he did pull it off. So Dale Jr., hats off to him, and he's been on top of cloud 9.
As a matter of fact, he was in Bristol last night.
In Bristol last night, really?
Yeah, doing an interview for on ESPN.
He came up to our home state here, and he's been making the rounds. He thinks it's going to be a big year for them. He was chirping a little bit before the race, said they were ready. He felt like they had the car this time around, and they were actually ready to get this thing done and put all the struggles behind him. So he's obviously off to a great start. Maybe there'll be some more interest in racing this year. It's been a little bit down in recent years, I think, to the casual fan. So, we'll see what happens.
Jimmy Johnson keep winning, right? He's won 6 championships. So.
Yeah, that takes a little, when the same guy's winning, it's not good. All right, let's go to college basketball, Bob. Bad loss for UConn this weekend against SMU. Defensive struggle, 64-54. As Coach Larry Brown said, both teams defended like heck, like crazy, he was saying. And they did. And SMU back in top 25. We talked about that a little bit last week. Larry Brown, all he does is get teams turned around and winning. And they came into Gamble this weekend, and it was a tough loss for UConn, because they fell back out of the top 25. We know they had lost to Cincy a little bit back, 63-58. They lost to Louisville a little bit back.
We got a call.
We have a call. All right. Break up our UConn talk for a second. Hello, caller. You're on the line. Thanks for calling in. How you doing?
I'd just like to know, how many wins has Dale Jr. had over the last 5 years?
Over the last 5 years, he hadn't won in the last 2 years. He had only won twice in the last 5, and he had 15 wins before that in his first 5 seasons. Actually, since 2006, he had had 2 victories since 2006, so more than that. Last 8 years, only 2 victories.
Wow. Okay. Well, thanks a lot.
No problem. Thanks for calling in.
Okay.
All right, we got a racing fan called in.
Yeah.
So just to recap that, 2 victories in the last 8 years for Dale Jr., so big struggle there, and he had 15 before that, so he was off to a great start to his career, but really struggling. And now he's got the 500 under his belt, again, the second one in his career. So that's a big deal.
Back to UConn.
Back to UConn. I'm a little worried about these losses to the top teams in the AAC, Bob.
Yeah.
We know they're not getting any respect. 22-6, 10-5. you put that record on, say a Michigan, Ohio State,
Right.
or North Carolina, there's no sweat. They're top 25.
Right.
You put that with UConn,
And you're
who
not
has beaten the number 1 team in the nation, Florida, by the way.
Right.
Yes, they did do that, and Florida basically has not lost since and are now the new number 1, but it's not good enough to keep them in the top 25. So I'm getting a little concerned, and they have the big rematch against Cincinnati at home this weekend, Saturday at noon, and then they finish the following Saturday at Louisville. So, they got to get a win in one of these 2 games. Cincinnati's still number 11 in the nation, number 1 in the AAC at 24-4, 13-2 overall. The other reason this was a tough loss was because they were honoring the 1999 NCAA championship team, Bob.
Yes.
Kemba Walker's there, Rip Hamilton's there, Kevin Freeman, all these guys are there. Jake Voskuhl and Ricky Moore, my favorite,
Right.
was there. And they didn't get a win for these guys. And Coach Calhoun was there as well. And that was actually an interesting sidebar. Rip Hamilton won the championship for Calhoun in college, then went to the pros and won for Larry Brown, who was there that day coaching SMU for Detroit Pistons, one of only 40 players in the history of basketball to win college and pro. Rip Hamilton. Rip Hamilton, how about this, Bob? I went back and checked out the stats. 27 points in that championship game. Most outstanding player in the Final Four, of course, Rip Hamilton. I remember that game, and I remember it very well. I was living in Atlanta at the time, and I was kind of in Duke territory. Maybe off the air, I'll tell you the story of what went down at that bar that night. Not good.
No,
Not good, but we got the last laugh, that's for sure. As UConn came up large, 77-74, as Khalid El-Amin winning the Duke Invitational. Duke had only 1 loss on that season. They were blowing everybody out. They were a 9-point favorite in that game. Nobody gave UConn a chance. We remember some of the past struggles. Heartbreak in the Dream season '89 when Leitner ripped their hearts out in that game against UConn as he hit that buzzer beater, and other tough games against Duke. But they got their revenge on this day, and they got it done. Big time, 77-74. Ricky Moore had a huge game, known for his defense, but he also had a big game in that one, and that was awesome. First championship for the UConn Huskies. Of course, they've won 3 overall now, and UConn was 34-2. They only lost 2 games that year. Duke had the 1 loss, 34-2, 16-2 in the Big East, so they were undefeated outside of conference play that year, and they really got it done. So that was tremendous. So that led me to think, we haven't talked much about the guys in the NBA. Before we get to that, let's make a quick note. The big game, of course, this weekend, sticking in college. I guess we get to throw out all the rivalries of all time in college basketball history, Bob. They're all done. They mean nothing anymore. Why? Syracuse-Duke trumps them all. They played twice.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
Every rivalry ever played is done. Forget it. It's the greatest rivalry in all of sports. Let's go any sport. Yankees, Red Sox.
Yankees,
it means
Mets,
nothing. None of these things mean anything anymore. It's Duke, it's Syracuse, the greatest rivalry of all time.
cares?
Right. All right. So that's enough of that. Big game, of course, this weekend. Syracuse lost. They did rally for a win over Maryland, avoiding the 3-game losing streak. And Jimmy Boeheim lost his mind. I think it was intentional. As a matter of fact, I think it was intentional. I think Boeheim ran out of the court. Why? Because he's a shill for the ACC.
Right.
He proved it when he said it was the biggest game ever played up there at Syracuse at the Dome a little while back. Biggest game ever? Are you kidding me, Jim Boeheim? You're obviously a shill. You and your Syracuse traitors going to the ACC. Forget about you. It was a staged situation with that call at the end of the game, and he ran out on the court and made a fool of himself and took away the chance for Syracuse to win that game. First time ever Boeheim was kicked out of a game, Bob. Do you believe that?
Yeah.
That I found shocking. All right, so let's talk about the former Huskies who are still hanging around in the NBA before we get into the heavy NBA talk.
Oh, here comes the stat of the week.
Oh, do we have a stat of the week? Strange man slipping in. What do we got? What do we have here? What do we got? One day we'll get Strange man to just come right on the camera and get his mug out there. Stat of the week. The Knicks lost again. Yes, they did. The stat of the week.
Who'd they lose
Strange
to?
man says they lost again. Who knows? They lose to everybody, Bob. Let's take a quick look. The Knicks. 2-8 in their last 10, Bob. They can't buy a win. All right, so in the NBA right now, you got, of course, Trader Allen. You can't spell Trader without Ray in the middle. He's still hanging around with the Miami Heat. He's only averaging 9 points a game, under 10 a game for the Trader, Ray Allen, who single-handedly saved Bron's neck last year, winning the championship for the Heat. Didn't like seeing that, not one bit. The guy I'm really enjoying this year is Jeremy Lamb. Lambda, getting it done in OKC. He's only averaging 9.7 points, but it's a crucial 9.7, hitting big-time 3 points for the Oklahoma City Thunder. His running mate from the former UConn days, Hasheem Thabeet, not getting any minutes this year. He did get minutes last year for the Thunder. He's still on the squad, but I'm noticing a lot of DNP CDs. That's a did not play coach's decision. The other big player, I'd say Andre Drummond is the biggest Knicks player, although Rudy Gay and Kemba Walker could make claims as well. But Andre Drummond, he's a double-double guy right now in the NBA for the Pistons, Bob. 13.1 points scoring, 12.8 rebounds a game. That's a lot of rebounds. That's a nice stat for Drummond, the 2-year man out of UConn for the Pistons. Rudy Gay was traded from Toronto. He's out there in Sacktown now for the Kings. And he's averaging 20.1 a game, over 20 a game for Rudy, a big-time NBA scorer. How about this? Kemba Walker, 18.4 points a game, Bob, 5.5 assists. Kemba for the Bobcats, who are currently 7th in the Eastern Conference for the playoff position. So he's leading the team possibly his first playoff situation. And we love Kemba, we know that. Led them to their last championship with one of the greatest NCAA tournament runs of all time. Still playing with the Bobcats, and I was happy to see, because there had been a lot of DNP CDs for both Jeff Adrian and Ben Gordon. Adrian especially, Gordon a little bit, but Adrian has been getting off the pine lately. He's still a hardworking guy, and he's giving them some quality minutes. He's getting back in the rotation. So he's getting some minutes for the Bobcats. Gordon a little bit. I'd like to see him get more, because Big Game Ben, he's got the history of big time as the UConn flag is going down. What's going on there? As the flag goes down. Other guys, Caron Butler just got bought out for the Bucks. Watch out, Butler's going to make an impact somewhere down the line, because the Heat and the Thunder are the top dogs looking to sign him to their services, and Butler is a quality player. Other guys still in the league, not playing. AJ Price a little bit, a couple minutes here and there for the Timberwolves. Charlie Villanueva, the one and only. You know that I got this thing with Ray Allen about the Trader situation, but I still got, I hate to admit it, some love for Ray. But, you know, I have a hard time with him in the Heat. The one and only UConn player who I have no love for whatsoever is a disgrace to the uniform, Charlie Villanueva. Still a Piston, and he's getting all DNP CDs right now. Okafor is still in the league, but he's inactive due to an injury for the Suns. Alex Oriaki actually was picked up by the Suns, but he is currently inactive as well. I think he's in the D League. Back to college real quick.
Yeah, I see. You got something.
We have something new on the set. I don't know which camera it's on. Maybe camera 3.
Camera 3.
Let's see if we can get it in there. Yes, Mount Ida right there. And the former New Fairfield girls basketball star Abby Fettigan. I got to go up to Mount Ida this Saturday for their last game of the year. Abby Fettigan is a it was her 4th year, 4-year starter, Bob, for Mount Ida, which is impressive to say the least. She's been a captain of the team the last 2 years. She finishes her career at Mount Ida D3 basketball program in Massachusetts with holding the record, Bob, for most games and most minutes played. And I was happy to go up there for her senior night. How about this for her senior night, Bob? Against Simmons out of Boston, Massachusetts. They come to town. She goes for a game-high 16 points. The game is tied, high drama, just over 2 minutes left in the game. She steps back behind the arc, calmly drains the 3 that sent them back in front and sent them to victory in her final game in her career. So obviously that was a great win. Big excitement for all of us. We had a big group of people up there for that game, so that was a lot of fun. Hats off to you, Abby, for a great career. I mean, I think that's a big deal. She came up just short of 1,000 points. She missed about 3 games last year with injury.
Yeah.
But to have the record for most games and most minutes played, that record's going to stand for a while. All right, under over, Bob, Eastern Conference. We set the number at 3 weeks ago. Do you think we are under or we are over?
I would say we're under.
You're going back under. You are wrong, Bob. Last week it was 4. It is back up to 5. And I think it's going to stay over because the Pacers and Heat are obviously clearing away above that number. Toronto is now 7 games over 500, 32 and 25. And the Bulls, Bob, I don't want to hear it about injuries with any team, anywhere, Bob. Derrick Rose out for the year. They trade Luol Deng. They got other guys. Jimmy Butler's out recently with injury. Other guys that come and go with the injuries. They're 31 and 26, Bob.
Yeah.
They're a playoff team. They put the injuries aside. They go out. They play hard defense every night. They get victories. So spare me any injury consolation prizes.
What about them Bricks and Nets?
Bricks, 21 and 36, Bob. 2 and 8 in their last 10. 15 games below 500, which is the worst marker there right now, currently, for them. So, you know, they're not in the playoffs right now, so that's not good. The Nets, are currently 8th at 26 and 29. I think actually 7th.
And your Celtics?
Celtics 20 and 39. They got a win over the fading fast Atlanta Hawks. We need the rally for the Hawks.
Yeah.
We need the rally for the Hawks, who are fading fast. 1 and 9 in their last 10. They were one of our 500-plus teams before. Now they're 26 and 31, fading fast. They're going to allow teams like the Bricks a chance to stay in the race. We can't have that, Bob. The Hawks got to get it together. All right.
Quick, Whalers are in town this weekend, so come on out for that. I think they're playing Dayton and Danville, so.
All right. As we check out some NBA cheerleader shots. Nice to see that. All right, I think we are off next week for scheduling snafu, so it'll be a taped show perhaps or a replay of this one. Enjoy it again next week, and we will see.
Watch
that Oscar preview. Thanks to the caller, and we'll see you next time.